Welcome to another episode of the Inspirational Corner with me, your host, Stylisha Bolton, where we encourage you here to live bold, live loud, and live authentically without apology. Welcome to another episode, everyone. And if this is your first time listening in, I truly encourage you to hit the subscribe button so you will not miss out on any new podcast episodes. And I just want to say thank you for deciding to listen in. If you happen to just stumble upon the Inspirational Corner, I truly want to say thank you. And I also encourage you to share the podcast because it is truly a new podcast. And if you know other people will benefit from listening to the content that I put out in this podcast, please share it. So I'm truly excited about today's topic. I love this topic. And it's talking about all things travel. And today's episode is so fun because I love talking about traveling. And it's actually a series that I decided to break up into two parts. So in today's episode, I'm talking about how traveling changed my life. So I want to first start off with my story and how I began to embrace my travel lifestyle. I remember the first time I began to travel. It truly all started in 1998 when I decided to join the military. I was 19 years old, pretty much ready to leave Detroit and to start new adventures in my life. To me, I really didn't have nothing glamorous going on. I was working at Kids Foot Locker and going to college, but I think by that time I just, knew that college was not for me, and I dropped out of college my first semester because it just was not for me at that time. So I knew there was so many more things in my life to do, and there was more things to life than just working and going to school, and I knew there was so many things for me to experience beyond the east side of Detroit in the inner city. So I was ready to spread my wings and find new territories to explore. And so when I joined the military, I was able to be exposed to so many different ways of life. And my military career and time, to me, it had more ups than downs, and I enjoyed it through and through. So my first exposure was when I went to my first job assignment, and the first place that I got to travel to and live in was the Nordic island nation of Keflavik, Iceland. Now, Keflavik, Iceland is a beautiful country. It has gorgeous landscapes, hot springs, volcanoes, and so much more. When I was not working and when I didn't have to be on duty, what we say in the military, I would explore the different parts of Iceland. And so we had something on our base, which is mostly on all military bases, called MWR. MWR was a center where, especially overseas, where they would pretty much put together events or different trips that you can take each day. And so if I didn't have to work and if I didn't have anything to do, I would just go explore the island. And so I remember when I decided to explore a cave, and I think I was around 20 at this time. I think I was 20 years old at this time. And I'm telling you, exploring an Icelandic cave was the best adventure I ever been on in my life. It changed my life. Oh my goodness, it changed my life. And I remember going to the Blue Lagoon. I also end up embracing, the Icelandic culture, and I end up connecting with a friend. Her name was Guna, and she ended up becoming my Icelandic sister. She would invite me over to dinner at her dad's house because her mother had passed away, and her dad would make lamb. And I remember one time I was sitting at the dinner table and she was translating the things I was saying to him, and he said I was like his American slash Icelandic daughter. And so me and her became the best of friends and sisters, and we used to keep in touch a lot on Facebook. With that said, being 20, of course I partied a lot in Iceland and I ate, like I said, so many different foods, especially the lamb there. Their food is so fresh. Unlike in the US, when you go to an international country, the food tastes totally different because it's authentic and it's not being injected with these hormones and pesticides and all this stuff that we get when it comes over to the US. So Iceland was a place where I enjoyed the great outdoors because I'm an outdoors person. So I love to be outdoors. And every time I think of this experience and just explaining it to you all, it really brings a joy to me to know that I got to experience Iceland and really see the beauty of the entire country. And I truly want to go back. But through this experience, I had no idea that this was going to be the beginning of more adventures in my life. So later on in my military career, I lived in Sicily. Oh my goodness, another beautiful place. Sicily is a Mediterranean island. It's just off the tip of Italy's boot. I remember wandering around the island to other neighboring cities like Moda, Catania, and Taormina. And Taormina is such a charismatic island. A lot of tourists go to Taormina. However, Taormina was an island that was near the well-known volcano called Mount Etna. And so that was on the coast of Sicily. Like I said, a lot of people, a lot of tourists go to this area because it's filled with beautiful beaches, clean Mediterranean water. You have various shopping boutiques and so much more. Anytime that I got a chance, whether it was on the weekend or in the week to go, I would go to Taormina. I remember when my 2-year-old daughter Serenity was born, and they have the old wives' tale to, you're supposed to sit in the house for 6 weeks after you have the baby so you can heal and the baby can be fine. And I didn't do that. I'm such a nonconformist. I did what I wanted to do. So me and my friend, we drove around the entire island with my daughter Serenity, enjoying Sicily. I was like, if they give me 6 weeks of a vacation and I know I got to go back to these 6 weeks and do the same job I've been doing, I might as well enjoy these 6 weeks. So we went to Taormina, and that was my way to escape, from the day-to-day military world and life. And I always felt like Taormina was like Venice. I also just enjoyed the beauty of Taormina. It was what I can say, it was on the coast of Sicily, but you had to get a bus there, so it was uphill in Sicily and stuff. I enjoy every moment of Taormina. I truly want to go back because it's a beautiful little sub-city within Sicily. And also in my military career, I also got to travel to Spain, to Rome, and England. And I didn't really see a lot of Spain. However, I would love to go to Barcelona, Spain. Rome was awesome. I have pictures of me and my daughters. It was me and a couple of other friends that went to Rome, and Rome was an experience within itself with the beautiful statues and architecture. I love architecture and, oh my goodness, and buildings. It's not like the US, and to me, living overseas, you get to appreciate the culture, appreciate buildings that's been there since the 1800s, just the culture and just the history, the real history to me of a place unlike the US. So I truly enjoy Rome. And, like I said before, I do have pictures of me and my daughters being in Rome. We went to, I can't remember, I'm trying to think, I can't think of the name of the place that we went. The amphitheater, I can't even remember the name of the structure. It's a very famous structure, but anyways, that was an experience within itself. And to be able to expose my oldest daughter at the time, she was like around, I don't even know, she was young, I think she was about 3, and then my baby, Serenity, to expose them to that. And even to this day, my daughter still remembers Sicily, and she talks about Sicily a lot, like she was older when we went there, and she was young. She was like I said, she was a baby when I got stationed there, and so she was around 3 or 4 when we left. So yeah, she was probably around 3. I say around 3.5 when we left, and Serenity was almost 2. So Soraya still remembers Sicily to this day, and she talks about it a lot, and it's a memory that'll never go away. So I laugh at her. I always let her know that we're Italian, because all we eat is pizza and pasta in my house. And I cook a lot because that's what I'm so used to, because that's what I've been exposed to living abroad. I rarely eat out. I don't eat out at all unless I, travel or go out of town, or go on vacation. I will eat out, but here at home, I'm always cooking because I'm just used to that type of lifestyle, eating authentic food. Although in the U.S., we don't have authentic food as you would eat overseas, because it comes from the land. It's, like I said, it don't have any GMOs and all the pesticides and everything that we have in our food, and that is not healthy. But overseas, everything comes from the land, and so it's so authentic. And so with that said, after I completed my military career and, finished out my military career, I knew that traveling was not just a hobby for me, but it truly became a lifestyle. And I was addicted to this lifestyle and wanderlust of traveling worldwide. And if we fast forward to now, man, traveling is not only my love, but like I said, it's a lifestyle. And so because of the pandemic and everything that's going on, I can't go abroad, but I have traveled within and outside of my area. And I think it's so important, even during this time, that you travel. Taking road trips is always an option. Going outside of your area, going outside of your state, exposing you and your family to new and beautiful things. There's beauty all around the world. But when we stay in one place, it doesn't do anything for us. We become stagnant. We become stressed, and I love to travel because travel clears my mind. I come back and I gain a new perspective. So I think it's important even now to get out of your area. And even though I have not been back overseas or, internationally at this point, in 2014, which was 6 years ago, after finishing my military career, I decided to travel to Paris because I always wanted to go to Paris, France. And so I stumbled upon a writing workshop that I got to participate in. So I was able to go to Paris. And one thing I could say about Paris is that Paris is not just a city to do quote unquote touristy things, but Paris is a lifestyle. It's like a state of mind. And it truly changed my life. It changed my writing and how I view the world. I can go on and on and on about Paris, because Paris is a totally different level. It's just, you can't just go once. It's so much to do in Paris, and like France as a whole is, I think that whole country is beautiful. And the southern, I would truly like to go to southern France, but Paris is just, it's on another level. It's not a place where you can say, I've been to Paris, just to what they call, I don't believe in, I mean, for me, I don't believe in bucket lists. That's just not my thing. I would say I believe in enjoying life list or a promise list, but I always say my enjoying life list. And so although Paris was on my list, and I just took that opportunity because I believe in, if an opportunity presents itself, and if you always saying no, that can be the only opportunity that come, and another opportunity that open, it might be a long time before you get that opportunity. And so I just was spontaneous and I just jumped to it. So I do plan to go back to Paris. Again, it was my plan for me and my daughter to go this year. Before all this stuff with the pandemic, it was my plan for me and her to go. That was going to be her like graduation gift, and we were just going to stay as long as our passport allowed us to stay, which I think 3 months, 90 days. So, but because of the pandemic and all this stuff going on, those plans got canceled. So with that said, I believe, and I'm very hopeful that by next year we'll be able to go to Paris, and she has to get a new passport, because she's 18, so she has to get her passport all over again. So I'm just excited about traveling, period. So I want to discuss 3 ways traveling changed my mindset in my life. And I want to give you 3 ways that traveling can help you change your life and your perspective on so many things. First of all, number 1, I became a storyteller. Although I'm a writer and I create, my imagination is always going creatively and always making up stories. I became a storyteller. There's a famous quote, don't know who it's by. It says, traveling, it leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller. And when I think about traveling and how much I have traveled, travel has truly made me a storyteller, because I have so many stories, pictures from when I was stationed abroad and with my daughters, and just even now, although I haven't traveled abroad since 2014, I'm always on the road, whether I'm going up and down the East Coast. And I told my daughter recently that we need to kind of try to venture. And she always said, it's time to venture out into new territory. Her whole life has been traveling. That's all she knows, and that's most of the things she liked. And her thing was this year, she was saying that she couldn't travel. She was looking forward to traveling this year, because it's a lifestyle that I've exposed her to and that she is now used to. So, like I said, you become a storyteller. Number 2, you learn how important diversity is. You learn the importance of diversity. And I think in America, we really miss that idea that diversity is important. And the reason diversity is truly important, because we learn to respect other cultures, attitudes, behaviors, and the way of life, and their way of life. And understanding another culture's or race way of life, it empowers you. And I think sometimes as Americans, I'm not speaking for all Americans, this is a generalized opinion, but I believe as Americans, sometimes when we go over to another country, we expect other people to speak English, and we get a little what they would call it bougie, or closed-minded, like everybody's supposed to be like America. I think that does so many Americans an injustice when they travel to another country, because they're not even able to enjoy that country because they have to understand it, or they don't want to understand because of their superior mindset. Is that when you go over to another country, it's so important that you do your research, understand their cultures and customs, and respect their land. I know when I went over to Paris, you know, when I decided, hey, I'm going to Paris, I'm just doing it. And when I started paying on the workshop and the trip as a whole, I started to watch a lot of movies with the Paris theme. And I just started embodying the Parisian lifestyle. I also, I don't think I read any books, but I just, like I said, just started embodying. I started to get a CD. I bought a CD on how to learn like simple phrases in French. And I'm telling you, doing all that and having the military training and having that mindset, because that was not my first time, of course, going abroad, but having that mindset truly helped me. And so when I went over there, I connected with different French people, and I was making an effort, even if it was messed up, I was making an effort to speak French. And they speak English over there, but I was making an effort in their country to respect their countries, their behaviors and customs. And I, would speak French. Bonjour, comment allez-vous? Ça va, and all this other stuff. Je m'appelle Stylisha, and all these other things that I would try to say. So with that said, I would get great feedback, and I would get French people that would connect with me, and we would have conversations, of course, in English, because they knew I wasn't fluent in French yet. That's another goal, to become fluent in French. And it was awesome. So diversity is an important part of embracing new ideas, experiences, and it also promotes creativity. In America, with so many cultures, we're like a melting pot, depending on the city you live in now, because some cities are just like, they might only have 2 cultures or 2 races in that city, and it's like, or one race in that city, and it's like, where's the culture at? I love diversity. I love any place that's multicultural, because I'm used to it. I've been used to it a long time, and I feed off that. I love learning from different cultures and different people. And so with that said, I think in America, we become so closed-minded that it seemed like the American way is the only way, which it hurts us in diversity. There's a quote by Malcolm Forbes that says, diversity is the art of thinking independently together. And I love that quote. The last thing, 3 ways that travel can and will change your life. You become open-minded. Your mind is going to be able to be transformed by your traveling experiences. The more you travel, the more open-minded you're going to be, because you're going to realize that the way you live in America or the way you live in your state is just like traveling to different states. Every state has their own culture and way of life. So you're going to understand and recognize that your little town that you live in, your little city or your state that you live in is totally different from a whole different country. And it's going to help you realize that the world is so much bigger than you or what the news portray. That the world is so beautiful and it's way bigger than you. So with that said, it helped me gain, being open. I consider myself an open-minded person anyway, but truly I believe that the more I travel, the more open-minded I become. And truly living back in the U.S., I've been living in the U.S. for the last 13 years, and I'm so ready to go. I am. I cannot even lie. I'm truly ready to move back internationally because that's my joy, that's my desire, that's my passion. And I don't feel like, I love America, but at the time, I mean, right now, and not just what's going on, but when I came back, it was like, oh my God, I should have stayed over internationally. But God had a different plan for me and a different will for, my life. And that's okay. But I truly want to get back internationally because I felt at home being around diversity, multicultural people, places, and things. That's me. So it really helped me open up a lot and be open-minded to understand other people's perspective and understand if we did not agree or we disagreed in our ideas, that it was okay, because everybody's going to have a different perspective, ideas, thoughts, and opinions. And I can be honest, I'm still learning this concept every day because we all can be judgmental. I know I can be judgmental and feel like my idea is the right idea and my thought is the right thought and somebody else's thought is not. And I'm learning not to be confrontational like that because we all have an idea and a way and a perspective of life. And so I just think that's important. And with that said, I truly enjoyed talking about how traveling changed my life in this episode. I hope this inspired you, encouraged you to go out and travel when you can. I mean, right now, of course, not internationally, but even getting out of your area. I told myself this week, I'm challenging myself to not just stay in my little town and little area because it gets redundant really quickly. And I started getting the travel wanderlust itch. And so it's so important for me to break out of the ordinary routine and to really venture off into extraordinary things, even if it's just a totally another city, a total different state. And I think that's important to keep things fresh and new, especially with the pandemic and what's going on right now. So I hope you enjoy this episode. I truly enjoyed talking about travel. Part 2 is going to be talking about why you should live abroad and, my experiences living abroad. And I'm going to share that in part 2. But until the next time, I want you all to have a beautiful week. And just remember, here at the Inspirational Corner, we encourage you to live bold, live loud, and live authentically without apology. Have a beautiful week, everyone.